Hi guys, so I'm by myself today and I'm so nervous. Yeah, I don't know how YouTubers can actually just speak to the camera and it's just them. Like, I can't do this without the rest of the girls, but today I'll be sharing my testimony on how Jesus saved my life. Okay, I'll start with my life story. So I'll tell you a bit of background about myself and I'll go into how I met Christ and then just how I changed after meeting Christ and how I am now. So I'm originally from Nigeria. Whoop, whoop. I'm Nigerian. I was born in Nigeria actually, and I actually grew up there until I was 9 years old. I grew up in a very religious background, so it was me, my mum, my mum, my sister, my brother, and we lived with my dad. And I also had an extended family, so I lived with my grandma, my auntie. I was really close to my cousin, so we had a massive family. We always knew God existed. We always knew about God. So it wasn't like I've never heard of his name or I never knew of Christ. I actually knew of him from when I was really young. My mum actually was originally a Muslim, and when she married my dad, she converted into Christianity, and since then she has been serving God. So growing up in Nigeria was amazing. It was a really good childhood. Got to play out a lot with all my friends. Obviously went to school. It was me, my mum, my brother and my sister. Sorry, I keep saying my mum. Me, my brother, my sister. My brother was the oldest, then it was my older sister, and I'm the youngest. I'm the baby of the family, and I have all the good looks. No, I'm joking. So yeah, we grew up in Nigeria, and my brother and my sister were really close, and I was almost the outcast. I was that child that I would watch my brother and my sister get in trouble, and I used to go and tell them to my mum and my dad. So I was the snitch basically of the family, and then my brother and my sister used to hate that. But growing up, actually, my brother passed away because he suffers from a disease called sickle cell. And sickle cell's a blood disease that basically means that your blood cells are not whole, they're not in a circle form, but they're in a half moon, so almost like a sickle form. So when it passes through your veins, it creates blood clots and can cause you to die. So he actually died at a young age, so he was about 11, 12 when he passed away, and my sister and I actually didn't know. My parents didn't tell us because they thought we were too young to handle it. So I will never forget this day. So we came back from school. We used to go to boarding school, so we came home for like the summer, and then we saw all my family all gathered in one place, and we're just like, what is going on? And then my mum was already in the UK at that time, so my mum flew to the UK a year before. So about 6 months before my brother died, my mum flew to the UK just to start working and to start building her life so she can bring all three of us back here. So my mum was actually in the UK when she found out that her son died. And then we found out my brother died 3 months after he died. My dad used to tell us that he went to America, and we were so jealous. We're like, oh, you didn't take us to America, you took him, like, whatever. Yeah. But we found out he died, and it was really devastating at that time for our family. It kind of tore our whole family apart. It split my mum and dad up, and it almost made it feel like it was sides, like either you're on my dad's family side or my mum's family side, and it almost blamed each other for my brother's death. So that took its toll on us, but it was almost a blessing in disguise because it enabled us to get our visas and to come into the UK, because coming from Nigeria into the UK is really hard. So, especially at that time, it was really hard to get into. So because of my brother's death, my mum always used that, and my dad almost used that as an opportunity for us to come here. So my sister and I flew to the UK. I remember it was in July, and it was like in 2002 or 2001 or something. So it's been a while actually, and I was 9 years old and my sister was 11. So my sister went straight into secondary school and I was in primary school, and it was really hard almost adjusting into like a Western world. Coming from Nigeria, we actually believed that there was money on the floor, like not just pennies that you see, but actually like notes and pounds, and everything was on the floor, and like it was just a rich country. Like that's just the perception that you have when you come from a third world country. So we came into this country thinking, oh, we're going to be rich. Everyone's so jealous that we're in the UK and they're still in Nigeria. But it was really hard for my mum because she's a single parent, and she was only working like doing jobs here and there, doing cleaning jobs here. She was actually working 3 jobs at that time. And we were living with one of her friends because we didn't have our own place. So all 3 of us, me, my mum, my sister, we shared a room. And at that time, you know, coming from Nigeria, where it's almost like a palace, and you have cleaners. We had cleaners clean after us. We had people washing our clothes. We had drivers, gate people. We had people cooking for us. So it was almost, we lived a privileged life, and we came into the UK thinking it was going to be even better, but it was almost worse. So mom struggled a lot. My mom was a very hard worker. I respect her, love her to bits, but she worked like 3 jobs trying to help us and put a roof over our heads. And at that time we were living with one of my mum's friends, and we were living there for a while. Actually, we lived there for about 4 years. So from year 5, so from the age I was 9 years old in primary school up until year 8, so until I was like about 13, we're living with her. And her and my mum got into an argument one day, and she actually kicked us out of the house. So we were just homeless. We were like, we actually have nowhere to stay. And my mum knew a guy who had a place, and he said he had a house, and the house was empty, and if we wanted to, we can go and stay there until we found our feet and found our place, a place to stay. So mum was like, cool. So we went all the way, it was in Peckham somewhere. So we got all our stuff and moved into the flat. It was a 1-bedroom flat still, but it was our own. It wasn't like we're living with anybody else. We had a bigger space. It was really nice. And we moved all our stuff, and we were just almost starting to decorate the living rooms, decorate the kitchens, and just kind of starting to live the dream that we actually have our own space after almost 5 years of living with somebody else. So basically we got there, and we were living there for not even 2 weeks, so we hadn't unpacked all our stuff, and the bailiffs came randomly. Me and my sister were at school at that time, and my mum was at home, and they came, knocked on the door, opened the door, and they took all of our stuff, like every single thing. And they almost were beating my mum down, because my mum was like, what is going on? Like, I don't understand. Why are you coming to my house and taking all my stuff? They took everything. They took all her jewelry, all our clothes, our TV, our washing machine, things that we actually been saving up for and were really excited to have our own place for. And then later on, my mom found out that the people who used to live there before at that house owed the government and the council a lot of money, and they didn't pay, and they just moved to somewhere else, and they just assumed that we knew who those people were, and to pay for those people's debts, they just took all our stuff. And we actually didn't receive it up until now. They auctioned it off. By the time they realised that it wasn't us, they've already auctioned all our stuff. So all they can do is reimburse us and give us a little bit of money, and it wasn't even a lot. So we didn't have a place to stay again. We're homeless. We're actually completely homeless at this time. We didn't have much stuff because the bailiffs have taken most of our stuff, so we only had like a suitcase between each other, and we were just like, oh, so what do we do now? Like, my sister suffers from sickle cell, so my sister also has the same disease that my brother suffered from, and I was the only one that didn't. So my mum really wanted to care for her, and we couldn't really stay out and be outside, because obviously she can get an attack and get really sick. So my mum had another friend, and who actually put us up. So she kicked one of her sons out and put her son in to share with his sister, and we shared a room again. It was the same situation where it's almost uncomfortable because you don't really know the people that you're living with, and you have to walk on eggshells. But since my mum had the faith, so she's always been going to church, she's always trying to take us to church and really get us to believe in God. But I never really heard the gospel. Like, in my old church, I never knew about Jesus Christ and him dying on the cross. We just used to hear about prosperity, and if you believe in God, you'll be rich, and if you believe in God, you have cars and you have all these houses. But we didn't know of the weight of what he did on the cross for my sin, and actually how I needed to repent. So I was going through secondary school, and obviously I was going through all of that situations, being homeless, going from house to house, and I was almost like, my mum put the fear of the Lord in me, so I respected her so much, so I wouldn't do what typically people would do. So I didn't like sleep around, and I didn't take drugs, or I wasn't always at parties, like, even though I loved to dance. So I still had those values. So I almost thought that because I wasn't bad and I didn't sin a lot, I would still make heaven my home. But the thing that was, one thing that I couldn't stop was lying. Like, I was such a liar, and I used to lie for no reason. Even little things like, my friends would ask me, what time did you go to bed? I really went to bed at 9:30, but I'd be lying saying I went to bed at 1 a.m. just to look cool. Like, I used to just lie for no reason at all. And that was the one thing that I kept doing. And I almost wanted to put up appearances. I knew what my lifestyle was, and I knew like what me and my family have been through, but I wanted to pretend and show my friends that, you know what, like I'm still cool and I'm still this and I'm still all of that, but I really wasn't. And I would still go out with my friends, and we used to go parties, we used to drink a lot actually. One time, me and one of my friends actually went to school drunk. I don't even know what we were doing that day. We're just like, oh, they came to my house and we had some alcohol. We're like, oh, let's just miss the first 2 periods and drink. And then we got to school, and then the teachers were smelling alcohol on us, and we're just, I actually cannot tell you what went through our heads that day. We were just confused with life, and we were bored. That was it. We were just bored. So yeah, so I didn't actually have anything or do anything that I felt was worthy of sinning almost. So yeah, fast forward to like a couple of years later, we finally got our own place. Praise God. We were still 1 bedroom, but it was ours. And it was then that it was actually near the church that I was going to at that time. So one of my friends came to my house, and she was like, oh, I heard about this concert, in the church concert, that you need to come. And I was like, oh, whatever, like my church is so boring. What does this church have to offer? And they had already been to church before, so they were going to church for about 2 weeks before. So they were like, oh, come. It's like, cool. So I came, and it was amazing. I missed like 45 minutes of the concert, and I only heard the last bits, but it was amazing. Like, that was the first time that I actually heard the word Jesus, and I actually heard about the weight of sin, and I actually knew that even though I didn't think I committed this massive sins like killing people, committing a murder, or smoking, or doing all this stuff, my little sin of just lying, or me being birthed into sin, was enough to make me to go hell. And I was just like, I don't want to go to hell. So they asked to put your hands up, to go up to the altar and pray, and obviously I did. And from then I felt a change in myself, and I felt like I wanted to be better, but I don't know, like I was still living for people. Like, that's just the one thing that I've been doing ever since, living for people. Even when I first came to this country, I tried to change my accent really quickly because I wanted to fit in with the people, and that's just always been my mentality, just to please people. So when I first became a Christian, I used to do stuff overtly. Like, I used to pray overtly, and like when I was in church, when it was praise and worship, I used to sing loudly just to show everyone and prove to people that I was a Christian. But I really didn't find time to build my relationship with Jesus. And I remember like one day, like, I don't know, I was just thinking to myself, and I was just like if it was just me and Jesus right now, the whole world was gone and it was just me and him, and he was to speak to me and ask me, what did you do with my son? Like, what did you do to tell people about Jesus? What did you do since you've been saved? I actually had nothing to say, nothing to show. Like, I had no evidence of my salvation to show to him. All I could have said was, oh, I sang really loudly at church, and I lifted my hands really high so that everyone could see it, but I didn't form that relationship with God, and my life wasn't like showing him, and my life wasn't illuminating his light, so that when people saw me, they will know the difference, and they will see, oh, there's something different about this girl. So it wasn't until like a year after I said the sinner's prayer that I really devoted my life to Christ, and I really surrendered it to Christ almost. I almost made that decision that I was just like, I refuse to do things to please people. I refuse to do things to show people that I'm this or I'm worth this. I really wanted to make my life all about Jesus, so that anywhere I went, people would just see Jesus straight through me. And then when the day comes and I was to die, which we all are, I can be bold and proud to showcase all the things that I've done in his name, and because of my relationship with him. And since then, I have not looked back. Like, Jesus has been such a light in my life. Like, we've got a house, we've got a place, like a 3-bedroom. Each of us had our own bedroom, which was something that we never thought would happen. Like, housing is such a thing that people take for granted, because if you grow up in a house or you grow up in a home, you've been there for years, you never ever go through that experience of moving from one place to another, but that was such a struggle for my mum and myself and my sister, that when we finally found a place, we knew that it was Jesus and it wasn't us. My sister became a Christian and my mum became a Christian because of that, and I found my husband in church, and since then, like, God has just been proving himself time and time again, and just showing me that if I don't completely surrender myself onto him, and I don't give him all the trust and almost all my hope in him, that what I'm living for, it's not worth it. Like, it's only temporal. Everything I'm living for, it's not gonna last. The only thing that will last is Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit that he's put in me. And since then, it's just been amazing, and everywhere I go, people just know that, oh yeah, there's something different about you. I don't have to say I'm a Christian. It's not being boasting or not being prideful. It's just me not being ashamed of Jesus Christ, and not being ashamed of showing people and telling people that yes, I'm a Christian, and yes, I do serve God. And that's what this whole YouTube channel is all about, and that's what we're trying to do through this. And yeah, I feel like I've been talking for ages. Sorry guys, you know, if you guys have been listening to me for like 20 minutes, I kind of got carried away. But yeah, I think I'll stop there. Yeah, thank you. Mwah. Subscribe and like and do all the above and watch all our videos. Yay!